2008, one of the projects that I worked on for clients was planning a conference for biochemical engineers. And allow me to mention, I didn't do the research that I should have on biochemical engineers because I'd worked on so many different medical meetings and scientific meetings in the past. I considered their demographic to be what the demographic typically is for other medical meeting, which is middle-aged white men. And it was a surprise to me that biochemical engineers is a very diverse group. It's very appealing to women and people of color. And I would probably say the average age of the biochemical engineers that were at this meeting were in their mid-30s. Now, I mention this because that week of this conference, I had two obstacles I needed to overcome. Number one, Joyce Myers was having a conference or a show right next door. And I didn't know who Joyce Myers was. So when the hotel contact had shared with me that Joyce Myers was going to be, her attendees were going to be in the hotel at the same time my attendees were in the hotel, I didn't think anything of it. I thought she was a singer or something. But I realized not only was she a religious leader, but she had quite a following and a big following of women. So as I mentioned before, my biochemical engineers are in their 30s, they love their Starbucks. Well, so do Joyce Myers attendees. And not only did they drink coffee, but the line to the Starbucks every single morning before the conference began wrapped around the building. In addition, so many extra people came. Another thing I need to mention about that week is about 3 days later, this was also the year, it was the primaries, and the vice presidential debate was taking place at St. Louis University, which was not far from this hotel, and that was Joe Biden and Sarah Palin. So I not only had a large group of followers for a major religious leader who had jumped on this hotel that I needed to manage, but I also had security and traffic issues that had come into play. So there are couple of things we did. Number one, I was very glad that we had a walk clause in the contract. And a walk clause is a clause that protects your attendees if the hotel should overbook. So we sat down with the hotel and not only reviewed that clause, but reviewed what would happen if the hotel couldn't accommodate any of our guests, our attendees, when they checked in. So my number one goal here was to protect them when they checked into the hotel. Number two is I worked with the hotel to set up a food concession, a cart, within our conference foyer so that they could get their cappuccinos and their lattes from a different vendor. It wasn't Starbucks, but I think it was a very good alternative since it was impossible to get into Starbucks that morning. We also made sure that we communicated on a regular basis with our attendees about the influx of traffic, and that the night of the debate, here are restaurants, some great restaurants you can go to that are not near St. Louis University. We actually started the conference a little earlier that day so that we would end earlier and they didn't have to deal with Secret Service, traffic, the influx of reporters and all of that. And it really did make for a good experience, and I think we really dodged a bullet on that one.